Don't get angry. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 29 of the Showerpodcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and I will try, and fortunately, nothing bad happened, so I'll try not to get angry. But the topic of today will be about the minor inconveniences that happen to us every single day. And I would like just to try to understand what makes them so bothering and what could be, let's say, a good solution in general for anger and overall to understand a bit more this topic. Before starting, as always, I'd like to, get into the groove of saying this. So feel free to leave a message, a comment, letting me know what makes you angry, which would be very interesting to know. And in general, what you think of anger. Personally, I'm not that much of a person that gets angry, both in, let's say, professional environments and personal ones. I've never experienced that kind of feeling, if not for super short moments of burst. I would say that in my life, for personal reasons, a couple of times maybe. But again, they were very extreme ones where I wasn't necessarily the most rational in that moment. So it was understandable, even though I do certainly believe that anger is never a solution. But let's say that it can happen. So there's that. Another environment in which I see a lot of anger and let's say is online gaming. And I have a few friends that tend to go into that realm. And also there, it hasn't affected me. I do get frustrated and angry, but mainly around myself. I never, let's say, project this kind of anger to somebody else. And finally, there are these, let's say, at work, again, I really try to separate, let's say, my personal feelings from the work feelings. So in that environment, really, I just get along with it and I don't get angry, because I really do believe that as long as it's not your company and you're not, let's say, you're not building something for yourself, you shouldn't get yourself too much dragged down by something like that. And I think there is quite an important necessity to have a good separation between those two. So the only place that remains in my life where I tend to get, I build up this lingering feeling that I want to absolutely just destroy everything around me, is with minor inconveniences. So let's say that outside it's raining, you forgot to bring your umbrella, and you walk out, and immediately as you walk out, a car passes by and you get, let's say, showered by it. So you're like, okay, all good. In that moment, that happens, it's okay. I'll just manage to solve everything. So you just exited, so you want to go up to change. You look for your key, you try to get it, and the key falls. Going down to get the key, you bump your head into the door. This is the kind of, let's say, momentum that it can happen, and that it has happened to me many times, and that gets me crazy. Or even the most common one is that when you're eating something and you touch, your spoon or your fork, that flips and ends up in your drink that you try to clean, but then you touch also that, and that also falls. When I think that, to me at least, when there is I always think it as throwing a coin, If one time this heads, happens. If it's two, If it becomes 3, 4, 5, you're like, give me a break. I need a moment. Let me do something about it. The lucky thing is that, in these situations, let's say, the intensity is very high, but the duration is very short. And in the end, this is the key, at least for me, to dealing and managing anger. I prefer to let it all out very fast and just leave it there, than to absolutely stay on that feeling and let it also then influence stuff that should not be affected. Thinking about and speaking out loud now, the other environment in which it happens to me that I get angry, but not even remotely to what's the standard, it's also when I play racket sports. Specifically, it's different because in tennis, where you usually play 1 versus 1, you can only drive your anger towards yourself, to the mistakes that you make, to the things that you're not doing correctly. So in that environment, it's really pretty much impossible to do something about it. The moment though that I am okay with, I'm okay with, let's say, getting angry at myself, and I think it's fair also to have that kind of, let's say, confrontation with yourself. The moment that, whereas, for example, in paddle, where you play 2v2, you have, first of all, your partner that can be more or less a problem, let's say, sometimes, also because of, let's say, several mistakes that they can do, and they can influence also your mentality. But at the same time, the problem that I have more is when you are doing everything you can, you're doing it correctly, you're playing properly, and then you have the opponent just hitting the ball in the most random way, and you see that ball that comes perfectly inside the court when with 1 inch it could have been out, as it should have. And then because of that, let's say if that happens to me already, if it happens twice in a row, I just go crazy and I absolutely lose concentration and end up losing the point. So that is, I think, the only thing that triggers me. But also there, it's a trigger. It's something that I get mad. I lose maybe 2 points after that because I need to get back my concentration. But after that, I am fine. So my key, and it's not easy, because if it was easy, not everybody would get angry. But I do believe that there is the need to get angry. There is the need to let out that, emotion that you have inside of you, because otherwise it will explode in a very bad way. And if it does at a later stage, it will be too much to handle and you'll end up having problems. And if you don't make it explode, it will be there constantly with you. And again, it's not a solution. I think it would be the biggest or the most similar thing that I could think of is, for example, with crying. And also from personal experience, I do believe that if you feel you need to do it and you have built up more than you could handle, just go for it. It's absolutely normal. It's absolutely fine. Cry your, let's say, your lungs out. But after that, go forward, That's the major problem that we have with these kind of emotions, is that we tend to internalize it too much. And at some point, you'll be like, I'd like to do something about it, but so much time has passed and so many things have been affected that I cannot really get over it. Whereas if you burst it out in the moment, let it all out and go forward, you'll always be able to, let's say, deal with more. And try to follow this kind of hint and let's say solution that for me it works perfectly. But again, I know that dealing with anger issues is not easy. So again, let me know if you have other ideas. I'll be more than happy to know that. And having said that, thank you very much for listening to episode 29 of the Shower Podcast, and see you at the next one.